Yeah, I think we can start now.
Sounds good.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for joining our webinar, Mastering Manufacturing Processes with Dynamics 365 Business Central. My name is Mitesh, and I'll be kicking off today's session. We are thrilled to have you join us as we dive deep into how Dynamics 365 Business Central can help streamline your manufacturing processes from planning and production to inventory and supply chain management. Before we get started, let me introduce our key speakers. First, we have Gregory Volko, a senior solution architect with extensive experience in Dynamics Nav and Business Central. And Gregory has helped numerous companies optimize their distribution operation with Dynamics 365. Next, we have Stephen Chinsky, a manufacturing specialist and director of Dynamics practice. Stephen brings deep industry knowledge and will walk us through real life example of how Dynamics 365 Business Central has transformed manufacturing operations for businesses of all sizes. And finally, as mentioned, I am Mitesh, your host of today's webinar. I am a sales director at Navision Tech and specialize in Dynamics 365 licensing and other ISV add-on. Today's webinar, we will cover about us, key challenges of manufacturing faces today, solve your business challenges with Dynamics 365 Business Central, solution overview, customer references, capabilities, and we also talk about licensing. And we have a question and answer session at the end of the presentation. So feel free to submit your questions throughout the presentation, and we will do our best to answer as, as many as we can. About Navision Tech, we are one of the top-notch provider of Microsoft ERP solution and specializing in helping small and medium-sized businesses to get their ducks in a row, whether it is Dynamics 365 Business Central or Dynamics Navision or other Microsoft solution. We make sure companies have the right tools they need to run well like a well-oiled machine. With our team with our team of experts, we roll up our sleeves and help businesses streamline their operation, manage finance, and boost efficiency. At Navision Tech, we are all about setting up companies for their success so that they can hit the ground running and stay ahead of the game. Without further delay, let me hand over to Stephen to get us started for the next slide. Over to you, Stephen.
Thanks a lot, Mitesh. Um, Seriously, one of the coolest things about Business Central, and one things that most companies are challenged by, are, for the most part, inefficient production planning. I mean, that is probably the number one thing when I go into an organization that they're asking me, can Business Central, take care of production planning? Can Business Central actually tell me what I really have in terms of inventory management? Because sometimes it's complex. You have sub-assemblies that you have to track for inventory. You have raw materials you have to track for inventory. And, you also have phantom bombs or real manufactured parts. And you also have non-stock items like such as, nuts, bolts, stuff that you want to expense, but you also want to track them in your bill of materials. So proper inventory management. One other thing that comes out of all manufacturers is the fact that quality control and compliance. Is there a way to actually do quality control and actually record what those tests are, keep track of it, possibly do a C of A if you need it for compliance reasons, and also, pardon the cough there. Is it possible that it can be maintained if maybe an ISO certified? Maybe is it compliant with various industry and governmental standards that are out there? Obviously, a big one, we've lived through this through COVID, is a lot of the supply chain disruptions. So obviously, can the system tell me how to plan properly, both purchasing as well as production planning? Can it actually tell me if I have supply chain disruptions, what to do? Do I show alternate vendors if one vendor can't supply the goods fast enough? Does it tell me when things are going to be late? Can I react to it quickly, both on the customer side to tell your customers, hey, things are not going to come to you as fast as you think, or possibly in the back office, I call it, in the purchase planning area. Can you react quickly when there's a supply chain disruption? How are you going to react? Where are you going to go to get those items, inventory items that you need for manufacturing? And last but not least, this one I love the most is just there really isn't real time data insights in some of the older ERP systems that are out there. And one of the things I love about Business Central is not only is it real time, it's not batch processing, it's real time. You can both report inside the software, can report outside the software in Power BI if you really need to. And you also have Power BI coming out this next release that we're actually coming out the next month and a half. It will have Power BI built into the system to do various reporting, both financially, from the manufacturing, from the warehouse, from the sales side, from the purchasing side. You're going to have built-in Power BI reports that are going to span all your departments and your organizations. So all the top 5 challenges Mitesh and I have listed here, they will be solved pretty quickly with Business Central.
Thank you, Stephen, for the wonderful explanation. And we'll move up to the next slide. So, to overcome these challenges and to make their vision reality, Microsoft offers all-in-one cloud ERP solution. Business Central is a comprehensive business management solution that brings together your critical business processes into a single solution. With Business Central, all of your business data is centralized, making it easier to access, analyze, and manage. This includes everything from financial data and sales figure to the customer service record and supply chain information. Having a single source of truth allows you to streamline processes, remove duplicate data, and busy work. Because Business Central unifies your data, you can you can get faster and more accurate reporting with built-in business intelligence and real-time insight across departments. Business Central is also first management solution that uses Microsoft Copilot to boost productivity and improve business performance. With next generation AI, as I'm sure you are aware, AI is now a big topic right now, and there are a lot of, there is a lot of to explore here. So, and there are so many companies right now they are adapting AI into their ERP solution as well. There are just some of the reason that Business Central is trusted by over 40,000 small and medium-sized businesses, and that was named the best ERP system in 2024 by Forbes Advisor. And this is something I would like to explain here. Uh, Dynamics 365 Business Central, it's built on fully integrated AI powered stack on the world's most trusted cloud platform. Copilot in Business Central delivers next generation AI to boost productivity and deliver business insight that enhance profitability, and it include with your Business Central license at no additional cost. You can trust Microsoft for world-class enterprise-grade security and compliance. Business Central runs on Microsoft Azure cloud platform, which means you can benefit from multi-layered state-of-art security features like multi-factor authentication, data encryption, regulatory compliance, and more. In fact, Microsoft invested more than $1 billion annually on cybersecurity research and development and has team of more than 3,500 global cybersecurity experts that work together to help safeguard of your business assets and data in Azure. So without further delay, I will hand over to Stephen so we can go ahead and see how Business Central manufacturing solution overview look alike.
Ah, I love it. This is great. Thanks, Mitesh. I'm going to share my screen out here and I'm going to basically show you just a little bit. Again, given our time here today, I'm going to kind of walk through some basics in the Business Central space so everybody has an understanding of it so you can feel for it. Certainly, if you've got questions, you can certainly add them at the end. Have a little fun. First, what we're looking at. I mean, we obviously you notice that I'm getting to Business Central. It's a cloud-based product, as you know. You'll enter your URL. Everybody's licensed or subscribed to the system, and basically each user is given their role. Everybody can have a role based on the different departments. Everybody can have permissions based on those roles also to limit what they see and what they can touch. Right now, I'm just a plain business manager in the system. I have access all over the place. So that way you can see a lot of things here. Sorry about that. Um, Again, I've got my main menu here. Some of the actions I'd like to look at during the day is in my action space. Here I can go look at customers, vendors. I have my activities I do every day. I always like to look at what the sales are for the month. Anybody who owes us money, obviously overdue money we owe as a company or an organization. And also a lot of with the predictive indices and a lot of with the AI, the system can predict if various invoices are going to actually come through, how many of them will come through overdue, if you want to turn that on, or will be paid late, I call it. A lot of my tiles, I call these, or my inboxes, where I like to go through and look at various things pretty quickly, quotes, orders, purchase invoices, and things like that. So a quick way of getting through the system. The system is tailor-made to a user. One of the things I love about Business Central from a user's perspective, since that's who I am, is more of a functional architect person. I like to make sure that a user can get to do their job quickly, easily, and without an issue. And a lot of this stuff is built around each person in a specific organization so they can get to places. I'm going to jump right into a typical sales order because I want to walk you through the day in the life of a sale. So you're a manufacturer. Obviously, you have a customer service department or a sales order entry department. Obviously, everything starts with them. So let's go to our sales order list. So I'm going to open up a sales order. I'll skip the quote process only because given our time today, I'd rather show you kind of how things work and show you the big picture here. So I'm going to go into the system quickly. I've got my list of sales orders. I can certainly look up, see what's going on. I can find out the stats of where it stands on the floor in the production department, or if it's waiting maybe for a purchase order for some items to come in. But let's go just make a new one here real quickly. We'll go to the sales order screen as soon as my internet shakes up a little bit here. Sorry for the slow connection I have. All right. We'll take the next number in the number series. Everything is audit based, so every document, every journal entry, every production order, every sales order, everything has an audit trail document. It is a number series you can build based on whatever you'd like internally. It keeps everything in check. It also is a great audit trail for accountants, external accountants that come in to audit you at the end of the year to look at your transactions for the year. I'll pick a customer. I can certainly type one. It's basically type as you go. So I can type any customer I want. If I type the Canon and I hit tab, it'll go out and look for the word the Canon and find somebody who's that. If it finds more than one, it will list it out. If it finds the exact, the Canon, it will actually insert the record automatically. In my case, the Canon Group is a single customer. I don't have two of them. So basically it's going out there. And again, my apologies for my internet connection being a little slower today than normal. So the Canon Group comes in. It fills in the contact information. You can collapse what we call fast tabs. So if you want to see more information, you'll click show more. You can see a lot more information. If you want to see less, you can see less. If you don't even see it all over time, you can certainly shut it down. And the main information is up here. Now, the customer says, I need my widget, by, I don't know, the 27th of this month. I'll put the requested delivery date. They obviously will give you a purchase order, most likely, and I'll put a purchase order in here. One of the nice things is I can scan that purchase order and attach it. I can click over to my attachments. I can drag and drop that purchase order right into the system in 2 seconds. And it stores it in the cloud so everybody who looks at this sales order can see it. Everybody who can see it after it's invoiced, the purchase order will stay with the document for life. So it's a quick way of keeping all of your paper in the cloud inside of Business Central. You don't need file cabinets or Banco boxes anymore. Saves you that aggravation. In addition to data entry, as a customer or sales order entry person, I can see the past history of this customer. I can see how many times we invoiced them. I can see how many times we've shipped to them, how many times we did a credit memo to them, how many times they return merchandise to us. I can see how many open sales orders they have, or if they have actually a quote. And you can see various things statistically. You can just click on my tiles and it'll open up the list and we can look at those documents. In addition, here's the customer's base information, if they have a credit limit, available credit, payment terms, and of course, here, this will look at the sales line. We'll get to that in a second. So I'll go down here. Let's sell them a couple of items. I can certainly click the drop down and it will list out all my items in my company, or I can just pick something. Let's give them some touring bikes today. I'll sell them a beautiful touring bike, a very expensive touring bike, and I'll come in here and I don't know, they need to restock all their stores, or basically if they're a wholesaler, obviously, or maybe they're a customer. In either case, let's sell them 10 because I probably don't have a lot on hand. So as I go looks for the 10, obviously it tells me my availability, if I have enough in stock or not. Obviously it's telling me I have a severe negative availability. I don't even have enough inventory to cover this, because obviously I need 10 and I'm running negative throughout. So I'm constantly selling stuff, but I'm not manufacturing it fast enough. It also gives me a little warning the customer's overdue on their money, so they owe us some money. So if we want to, we can certainly obviously pick up the phone and tell them, hey, you owe me some money. Can you send a check before I actually process this order in the computer, in the system? So I've got 10 to actually make for these people. I'll just move over here a little bit more. Obviously, I can preset the price I want to have for them if I want to. I don't have to. You can do a price list. I can do it on the fly. You can have like more of an MSRP. Whatever it has the flexibility to do many different what I call sales price catalogs based on who this customer is. Are they part of a customer group? Is there a sale going on for touring bicycles? You can set that up as well. So you can have many multiple different price catalogs that are established and set forth with a start and end date. I set my demo system up so I can enter it manually because I like to talk about this first with everybody on the that I show the system and I demo it to. I'm going to set each one up with $2,500 each, and we'll push that through. Now, one thing to note, the system has the ability to do sales tax. Obviously, as you know, wholesalers don't, obviously, they're going to resell it, so no sales tax. But if you are selling to the end consumer, you can certainly put sales tax in. It has the ability to do sales tax in all the states in the United States, Canada, as well as VAT if you really get into VAT and go overseas as well. I can do discounting if I want to. In this case, I made my Canon customer get a 10% discount every time I put it here. So, and it also tells me the cost in case I'm curious what the cost is versus the sell price. So if I come in here, I'm going to make this non-taxable as a joke today, just for the purpose of keeping it simple for our demonstration. And I can put that forth. Now, one of the nice things is I've got my location all set. It's my blue location. I can have multiple locations throughout the United States. The system does not limit it to just one location. I can have many, many locations throughout the US where this can ship out of. So if I know I don't have inventory in blue, I can ship it out of Maine, or maybe I've got some stuff in green versus red, or maybe I have an R&D department that might have a couple of extras lying around they were playing with, and I can certainly take it from them as well. In this case, I'm just going to pick Maine because I want to show you how you can switch it on the fly, and I can just switch it right now on the fly instantaneously. I can go to another line and add much more items I can sell to them. I can sell them all of the material. For the time being, for this demonstration, let's just manufacture our bicycle, because obviously we need bicycles. We have none available. And again, down here is invoicing information of what their terms are, the shipping address, which of course we'll just send it to their main Canon Group address. And of course, we can do prepayment. You can actually prepay these items up front. We can send them a prepayment invoice. You can also set credit cards and debit cards and checks through automation. You can send them the actual invoice or prepayment invoice ahead of time through email, and there'll be a link on there to actually pay it via credit card if you want to use that facility as well. Now, I'm all done. I'm ready to go. I've got this beautiful document. I'm going to come in here. One of the things I like to do when I finish my work, I always release it to make sure it's released. So now I know it's set in stone. I'll step off this document for a second. And one of the next things we're going to do is let's plan. Let's go and start planning my both from a MRP perspective and an MPS or production order. So I'm going to open up my planning worksheet, and it's blank today. I'm going to click prepare and calculate the regenerative plan. What this does is it goes out, excuse me, and it looks at various months or a period of time, my planning window, I call it, to find out what I have to do. Do I have to buy things, purchase, or do I have to manufacture production orders? So I'm going to set a planning window. Let's just make a nice planning window here. How about if we do, I don't know, 0601 24. I haven't run this in a long time. And let's get all the way through the end of the month. And again, I have a forecast if I want out there, I can certainly implement. We'll include the forecast. We'll take away my filter, and basically we'll do it to the main location because that's where my bicycle is to limit my information. Again, I'll remove the forecast just for our time to keep things moving here. And I'll respect all planning parameters. That's mins and maxes, reorder points, lot accumulation, and a whole bunch of other planning parameters. If I click OK, the system will go through. Normally this takes, again, it depends on how many inventory items you have, how many manufactured items you have. It really just depends. Most people will do this at night before they go home for the day. They'll just run this. It'll be there in their inbox in the morning. If you're a larger manufacturer, we will set this up as a job queue, so it runs overnight, and when you come in, it's already pre-done for you in the morning. Mine pretty much is done. I've actually allowed mine to have a couple of error messages because I want to show you why. The system is that intelligent that if something is wrong within the system, it will tell you ahead of time as you're building your planning worksheet. In this case, it says, oh, look, this item doesn't, the field unit of measure, okay, contains PCS, cannot be found in my table. Okay, I can go back and fix that later on. This is a speaker, and I don't care about my speaker right now. I care about my touring bike. And this one here is an item. It's a raw material item. It says, well, I can't actually work with that item in the subassembly group. This item is actually done by one of my subcontractors. It anodizes inventory. And basically, I didn't calculate the calendar for them to go all the way past June 3rd of 2024. Again, I'll fix that later. It's not part of my touring bike at the moment. I just wanted these to show you the system has that much intelligence to actually take care of both the planning of the manufacturing production orders, or the other piece is the MPS side, which is the purchasing. So you can have a lot of fun doing that. I'm going to step off this, and I'm going to show you my massive amount of line items here, which goes through, and it actually will go through and tell me, here's my touring bike in my main location. And it tells me, Steve, I need to make this done by September 26, 2024, because you saw me pick the 30th. You saw me pick that date, remember, that Friday of September, which I believe is the 27th. Since it's got to go out on the 27th, the requested delivery date, I have to get this done by the 26th. Why? It takes into account the shipping agent the user chose. It's that smart, knowing I've got to get something done so I can get it back to my warehouse. My warehouse can package it. My warehouse can ship it, and it can be on the customer's dock by the delivery date that they requested, which is kind of impressive here. Now, it's telling me I have to plan 10 production orders. So it's telling me you're going to make a production order. So that's really impressive. Not only did it tell me that, it's also giving me insight into the fact that I'm missing my wheels. I have to buy my wheels here. Excuse me. I've got some chain assemblies I need to buy for my warehouse of Maine. I've got some mud guards for the bicycles, some lamps and bells, and so on and so forth. Now, you're probably saying, Steve, this is a lot of stuff here. I mean, why is it still showing dates that are in the past? And again, obviously, this is a demo database. I don't obviously run this every single day, and my demand is still out there for, say, things that I've asked for, say, back in June, back in July, back in May even. So some of this is here. But one of the cool things about Business Central, and I love this about my planning worksheet, is it gives me warnings. It tells me that if I'm on here and I'm looking at an item to be a seamless oxygen-free electronic, temper unit here, and I needed this back on June 1st, it's saying it's an exception. Well, let's go look to see the message. It's telling me that I had projected availability below my safety stock of 100. So I need to buy another 100 because I'm actually running out of material and I'm going to eat into my safety stock. Now, as a purchaser and a planner, you don't want to eat into your safety stock and let it go too low, or else you're going to have a hard enough time manufacturing if you run out of your safety stock. So it actually checks safety stock. It checks all your planning parameters. It checks everything that is needed to make sure that you are just in time, or pretty lean, I call it, and you're not over purchasing or under purchasing at any point in time, or over manufacturing or under manufacturing. It keeps track of all that using all the planning parameters that we've set up on the different raw material cards or manufactured cards. And again, attention says, oh my God, look at this 8mm nut I need. If I say attention, it's going to tell me my reorder point obviously is 200. My maximum inventory is 350. Obviously, I've run out completely, and it's asking me to buy something because I've run out of inventory. It wants me to buy 350 because I've run out completely. Shame on me. And again, that happens throughout the system. Most planners with Business Central, they always have a set pattern of the day of the week that they do things. So these things are pretty, they'll set it up so they'll either run it before they leave, or depending upon what they're running, they can run it in the morning as well while you're getting a cup of coffee. It'll be done by the time you come back with your cup of coffee from the cafeteria or something. So what are we going to do? Let's go manufacture my touring bike. I've got that all set. Let me carry out, as you can see, this is an action message. If I go back to my home screen right here, you see the word carry out, my action message. Anything I check will be carried out. I'm just going to carry out this one because we want to talk manufacturing for the most part. It allows me to pick what kind of production order I want to do. So I'm going to make this into a firm plan one. Firm plan really stands for I'm firm planning it for the floor. I'm not pushing it to the floor yet. My floor is filled with other work orders, and I want to just keep it in the back hopper. And when I'm ready for it, maybe when they're opening up a slot, I'll move it to the release production order floor. Takes about a second here. It'll carry out the action message. It's done. You can see it's eliminated from my screen, so I can continue planning all my other items here. What we'll do is we'll step off the planning worksheet, which I love again so much because there's so much data here and so much information to go forth. We'll talk about purchasing a little later after I manufacture this item, but we'll come back. So what do we do next? I need to go to my firm plan production order. I don't have it on my menu system, so I'll obviously go in and use my magnifying glass or my search capability, which I love so much. And basically, I'm going to type FIRM and then the letter P. And the first thing that comes up is firm plan production orders. If I come in here, you'll notice there's a touring bike that was set forth. It tells me, of course, who, if I click source here, the touring bike, what's the routing that I'm going to use. My bill of materials underneath it, the quantity I'm going to manufacture, when I'm going to start manufacturing, and when I'm going to end manufacturing, and the due date. If I drill into this, and again, one nice thing is you wouldn't really print at this point because you're kind of like setting forth the schedule for the next week, maybe, or the next whatever period of time a good production planner likes to set forth. So you're actually looking at these things. You're saying, okay, I need this much time to do this and that. And you can look and see graphically what it looks like if you want to open up the graphic scheduler. This will actually open up a built-in graphic scheduler to show you what work's going to be done in what departments. So here is the production order 11632. You saw that's mine. It has to go to the wheel assembly. It's got to go to the chain assembly. It's got to go to the final assembly. And obviously, it's got to go to QC, quality control, at the end and get out the door. So actually, it will tell you kind of what work centers it's going to travel through, who individually potentially is going to look at this. Obviously, if it has other work center departments, you can see them on here as well. This one I've kept pretty simple in my assembly department to track it that way. Again, you can go back and shut down the schedule if you want. And again, on the graphic schedule, I could move things around. Let's say I don't want to start on that Monday. Maybe I want to start on a Tuesday. I could drag the whole production order to start on the Tuesday, and it's going to be late anyway because it's going to red flag me that it's going to run late because the due date is 9/26. Now, the nice part about this is I can see everything about this production order. Not only can I print it to a traveler, and I can also look at my shortage list if I don't have enough parts in stock. One of the greatest things about a production scheduler who sits there in his office, his or her office, is they can actually see what I'm short by for all my production orders. So that way I don't have to push something to the floor if I don't have enough raw material, or it's not even in-house yet. So why bother putting something on the floor when I can't manufacture it to its completion? Traveler can be printed, as well as the material requisition picking document to go pick the item from, say, the parts cage or wherever you keep your parts in the facility. I can look at the routing and see all the routing information. If I open my routing up here, you'll see I go through a wheel assembly, a chain assembly, a final assembly, and quality control. You can see the start and end times as well. I can go through all the components that are needed to make a bicycle. You can see all the different parts that are in here, the quantity per the unit of measure. You can have different unit of measures. Very popular when you're doing obviously something in the food business where you might be doing something in pounds and grams and excuse me, and other units of measure that you want to have there for food, ounces, gallons. Again, it'll all convert back to the finished product anyway. There's a conversion table for all finished product to go from any unit of measure, whether you're purchasing in pallets and you need to use it as gallons or eaches. And again, it's all possible inside of the Business Central system. Obviously, the quantity expected to be used, which takes the quantity per, multiply the quantity to manufacture, and this is how many I'm going to pick and pull out of the system. Now, the nice thing is also, this is a firm plan, so I'm not going to really pick anything because it's not on the floor. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to push this to the floor so that we can keep moving forward in our demonstration today and show you how we manufacture. So I've moved it to the floor, and I'm going to go to my release production orders, which is right here. And obviously I'm going to go to the last one, which is right here, is the bicycle, the 10 units here. It looks pretty much the same. One of the loves I have about Business Central being that I've done this for 25 years for this one software package. And prior to that, I had 17 years as an accountant in various manufacturing and supply chain industries, is that it is so easy to cross-train people from one place to the next. The screens are the same, the ease of use. The users really like the fact that you can point and click, or if you want a barcode scan, you can barcode scan into certain fields, or use a handheld or a tablet now. So it is really easy to just kind of get the data in the system, finish the work up, say you're done and move on to your next production order. So in this case, I have a nice simple production order. I can certainly go in, see all the same information you just saw 2 seconds ago right here. I can create a warehouse pick if I want to go pick it formally, meaning I can send it also to a handheld to be picked from a cage. You do not have to. I can print my material requisition form and just have somebody go to the cage with that and bring the goods back. And when I have all that material in front of me, again, it's a two-step process to manufacture. If you're recording time, which most people do, on average, most people will do what I call shop floor. You're basically recording time for every user in the system who's within its work center. You can do it through a production journal, which is an all-in-one document, or you can do it in an output or consumption journal. Output being labor and output, consumption being consuming the raw materials. I'm going to do today in my production journal to make life easier for you, because obviously I want you to see the big picture. So I will go in and just click my production journal once, and we'll kind of talk about it for a second. All right, let's widen the screen a little bit. Let's talk about this. So one of the nice things about it is that when you look at all the material, here's all the raw material I just had on the screen in here. Now, let's make believe the chain assembly was a serialized item or a lot item. You can record that on any item that is considered lot or serialized. You can, in a handheld, you would scan it. In obviously a data entry form like me, I can manually add it on the screen here. I can go under the line and I can enter, obviously, the serial number or lot number here. Now, obviously, when I get down, you get through all the consumable goods or the consumable raw materials. I now have my work center. Now, in typical shop floor, obviously somebody who's in the wheel assembly is not going to see the chain assembly operator's information. That's very true. If you need to do shop floor, there's a shop floor app that comes with this, and each operator in their work centers can actually do their work. They'll see all the work for the day, and they can certainly start and stop time. They can enter their output, the time that it took them to set up their operation, run the operation, enter scrap. In addition, they can also look up drawings and pictures and also fulfill the obligation of quality control if you need to do quality control within each work center or each step along the way. Sorry about that. Just taking a drink. So for me, let's go through and we'll do this nice and simple. Let's make believe I'm going to consume all my raw materials in this main warehouse. I'm just going to pick the main warehouse because I'm going to change everything to main here because that's the facility I'm working in. If you're wondering why does it come up blue, the customer normally buys out of the blue warehouse, but we didn't have any there, so he said let's go to the main warehouse. I'm going to say that the wheel assembly, the setup time was 5 minutes, and I'm going to say the run time was 5 minutes. And let's say the chain assembly took me 10 minutes to set up the big machine for the chain. It takes a long time. And let's say it took me 5 minutes to complete my process. And the final assembly, I'm going to say it took me 5 minutes to set up the packaging machines and everything that actually puts it in the box and puts all the material inside of it. And let's just say this took 10 minutes. And last but not least, quality control. Quality control, it took them 5 minutes to set up and 25 minutes to test. They took the longest time. Again, I have my output here. I can record scrap, but I'm not going to today. I'm going to finish my last operation to close out this production order. Now, when I post this, one of the nice things is if I do post this, I have an option here to preview the posting. It is something some people in the production scheduling department, they say they like it. They don't normally do it. They just want to click the post button. But if you want to see if anything's going to error out, you can certainly preview the posting if you want. If I do click post right now, I did leave some things in here to error out just to show you what life's like, because I do want you to see that the system is that intelligent. If you forget to put the proper bin location for something, so a bin does not exist in one of the locations, it will error out. So obviously, if I come here, sorry, in this case, if I look to see, oh, look, if there's anything in the bin, there's no bins here in that location. So if you go back and if you preview post it this time, it'll actually tell you ahead of time, the bin does not exist. The location is called main and blank, and it's telling you have an error on the line, and you should go and fix it. What I'm going to do at this point, because I don't like errors and I want to take things out, I'm just going to remove a lot of my consumable goods here for you, only because I want to process this through cleanly. And I'm going to take away some of my consumption here. I'm going to leave the first item in the system because I want to get you to the output side, which is the most important. And it's the fun part of this process here. I'm just going to remove some of that. And I'll go back and fix it later. You can, depending upon how many things are brought to the floor to be consumed. So if I do the preview posting again, just to show you what life's like, it will come in here and it will tell you that the main location again is missing that. So again, if the user makes an error, you can certainly change that and fix it along the way. In this case, it doesn't like the fact that I have no inventory for this item in this location at all. So again, I could have them transfer from the blue warehouse if they do have leftover stuff to the main warehouse. So if I pick the blue warehouse, notice that there is, again, I don't need a bin, but again, the inventory is, if I have it in the blue warehouse, it will transfer it automatically to my main warehouse. So one of the nice things about manufacturing is if you need it from a multiple locations, it will self-transfer the goods from one warehouse to the other warehouse automatically. Again, do a quick preview posting. It's telling me again, my main location is missing a bin. The bin does not exist on all of these locations down here because this is where the main is. I'm going to go in real fast and double check why it's yelling at me. And you can do this because most operators will look to see what's the story. Why is it saying, it's telling me it's been mandatory. So again, the operator at the floor can sit there and say, oops, I forgot to do my job. Shoot, Sam, I forgot to enter the bin. It was the bin I placed my goods into. Let me go and enter a bin that it was in here. So I'll go and put it in bin 1, And again, I'll put it in bin 1. And again, I'll put it in bin 1. And again, I'm just going to put it in bin 1. And again, it's all here. We'll do one more round of testing because I like to show how the system works. And when everything's all well and good, it's telling me I still don't have enough inventory to make 11 bicycles. The system is that intelligent because if the user tries to fake it out and doesn't really check what they did, it will warn them that it's not there. I could go back and again change this to the main location. And I know I don't have a front wheel in the system, so I'm going to basically remove this right now just to show you what happens. If I go through and complete the process and post, the nice part about this is it'll go through, it'll complete the output process, it will show it's cleared away, but when I try to finish this, it will also tell me in a message, hey, Steve, I'm sorry, but you forgot to consume all the goods that made the bicycle. I know you made it, but you forgot to consume all your merchandise. And you'll notice that, you'll notice I don't even have enough inventory for the blue location for any of these items. They're all red. There's like little to no inventory here. Some is coming in the door. There's a purchase order out there coming in for these 3, but I've got nothing coming in. Now, again, if I pick another location, I just want to show you what would happen haphazardly. I do have inventory, as you can tell, for various goods in different locations. And again, you can change your location and then transfer the merchandise around. If let's say I was picking the red location, I could have moved it to the main location. If I do change this all very quickly, and you'll notice they'll all keep changing to green, which means I have all the material on hand. So I'm just going to pick them right here. So I've done all that. You can see it's all in the system ready to go. I could redo the production journal and open it right back up. And you can see the main word is all here. And I can then post this accordingly. So let's step back a second. Summarize what we've done so far. Not only have I taken a sales order and created a planning worksheet and manufactured and could have created purchase orders and production orders, I now have released my production order to the floor and my workers are working on it in all my different work cells and work centers. I'm posting time, I'm posting output, I'm consuming raw materials. I could be consuming sub-assemblies if necessary, which you are allowed to do. When I'm all said and done, my workers will come back when they've completed the process, and obviously they'll finish their production order. It'll come through here, it'll say, please complete. Yes, I understand. I'll finish it. It'll post it in the background. It automatically will backflush all of those consumption items because I've set it so that if, God forbid, a user forgets to do consumption, it's a safety gap that it will backflush all those items for me. So it'll make sure it will take those consumption items out of inventory and consume it into the production order. The production order is, of course, finished, and it tells you that. It's now put into a finished state. I could go look up my finished production order if I really want to and look at some of the statistics and everything about it. I'll hold off on that. So what's the next step? The next step is I can go back to my planning worksheet and make more purchases and close out the entire planning worksheet. I could also notify my customer service and warehouse department, hey, I finished this item. Please go and ship this for sales order X. And let's just finish that process real quickly. So I'll come in here and I'll go back to my sales order that I had in question. And I'll go to my last one, which is the bottom one right down here. Excuse me. And I've got my bicycle. It's from the main location. And again, I'll come in here. My warehouse, I can have them print, if they want to print a packing slip, I can have them print their packing slip right here. And again, it could be a pick instruction that acts as both a pick instruction and a packing slip. It could be both, and they can pick the item and then, of course, put their signature here that they shipped it. They can do something maybe a little more formal. Maybe they want a print confirmation. So then maybe they print it like a print confirmation document that goes in. Again, the packing slip could be anything you want it to be. The system has the flexibility to design pretty much any document the way you want it to, based on your industry that you're working in. Now, I love this part. I will go in and do my warehouse documents. I will come over here, and again, it could be my warehouse doing this. If they do automated create warehouse picking, it will automatically update this field. I'm going to skip the warehousing step just because of time and knowing what we're talking about here. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to say, yes, let me ship this off and invoice this customer. Now, one of the nice things is if you set your customer up to receive emails of all the invoices and shipments, you can say post and send, and they'll get an auto email for it right to their inbox. You can send it to two, you can set up the two, this carbon copy and the blind carbon copy if you want to. And that is the love of the Business Central system. Everything can be paperless. You don't need the USPS to drop something in the mail anymore. Everything can go email. You don't need to do that anymore. I'm going to click post just to have it a post. And again, since I'm doing both functionalities today, I'm going to actually ship and invoice this just to have the whole document. And we're going to go look at it at the end just to show you some of the accounting, because I know you're watching a demo of this, but I do want to show you how some of the accounting works in the background. Oh my God, I forgot my bin again. So obviously I have got to go in and I've got to pick my bin. And again, the system, like I said, all of these fields of errors that come up, they normally will happen and they'll prompt any user. So if my warehouse is picking, it will prompt them, you need a bin. They would have filled it in automatically, which would have self-appeared here from the list. And then I know for a fact we put it in bin 1. So we're going to pick bin 1 and we'll post again real quick. And we'll ship an invoice. And again, it goes out. The system does prompt here. Again, you can see it's already, here's the 10 items. It's gone. It's been shipped. It's been invoiced. And you'll go back over here and you can see quantity I shipped was 1 and 1. Now, most people who notice this always yell at me when I give a demo because I do this on purpose. I want to see if people are listening and watching me. I put a quantity of 1 here, but they're supposed to get 10. You'll notice that the leftover quantity is still sitting here waiting to ship. So I've actually created an invoice for a single unit of 1. I can actually come back in here, type the number 9 here, and go back, and again, just repost. And it will produce another invoice to that customer with a different invoice number. Now the document is officially gone. If I click yes, I'm bringing me to the posted invoices for this sales order, and you'll see this is the 9 invoice and the one back here. Sorry. Here's the 9 invoice and here's the single 1 invoice, and they're both in order. Obviously, I like to keep track of where I'm shipping things for tax reasons in case I'm meeting my economic nexus and I have to actually start filing in states. It's something important if you have to collect tax. Most controllers or accountants will look for that to make sure that they're filing. They don't want to get audited and get their hand slapped. If I look inside this document, it looks exactly like the sales order, except for the word posted up here. It looks exactly the same, right? It's all grayed out. You can't touch it anymore. Yes, I can expand and contrast just like the sales order. You could see all the information, the $20,000 that you're going to collect. And the nice part is there's this cool little toy throughout the entire Business Central system called Find Entries. You can track your package, which means I can enter the UPS, FedEx, bill of lading information or pro numbers from truckers, and it will track the package back to the website of that carrier automatically. The Pay Now button is if somebody wants to pay by credit card, debit card, you can certainly click that, and you can actually take the information over the phone if you're doing it on, obviously, or if they want to pay in advance, they could have put it on the sales order and charge the credit card automatically upon shipment. In this case, I'm going to show you the secret sauce tool called Find the Entries. And what that does is it goes out and looks at the document, and it gives the controllers, the accountants, the bookkeepers, the auditors, a way of looking at a document and scanning everywhere that a posted entry hit in every subledger. So not only could I see the general ledger entries here, the 5 entries that an accountant is going to look for. So I've got my cost of goods sold. I've got my discount that I gave them. You saw that 10% off. My sales account that got booked. You obviously have some raw materials coming out of inventory, which is that finished good product. And of course, my receivable, my domestic receivable account. Now, again, it's all listed here. You can see the account changing up here, and you can see the full entry over here in its entirety in the fact box. Nice part is I could see the tax entries if there are any. This was non-taxable, therefore there's still going to be a tax entry. It's just going to show non-taxable. The customer subledger or AR subledger, the detail behind the AR subledger, and the inventory subledger to what was posted to how the inventory was taken out of the inventory subledger. Everything is tracked and posted here and auditable, and you can certainly track it accordingly. Now, one thing I want to show, which is kind of cool, now that I've kind of gone through this process, I'm not going to do the purchase side because I think the purchase side is an exact opposite of kind of the selling side. But one of the nice pieces of the system is if you're truly going in and doing a sales order and you have a pretty complex sales order process, excuse me, what you could do is you can come in here and certainly I can look up a customer, and I will from my list here. I'll just pick one. Let's just pick New Concepts Furniture, and we'll pick them pretty quick. And we'll go in here, and I could open up this little symbol. Now, if you've been around social media, if you've been around any software lately, you'll notice that symbol stands for Copilot. And if I click on Copilot, and I can suggest something, I can come in here, and obviously it'll come in here, and I'll give it a second here. It'll go in and actually pop a box in a second. So it's just waiting to open up. Sorry for the delay, my internet. I think my son's upstairs doing homework or something and taking over my internet. So bear with me, please. He's in college. So the box does open up, and I could say, I need 5 touring bicycles and 5 bells. And I could say generate, and I will go back and look at what I wrote and extrapolate it. And if all goes well, if people like to type, and again, you can copy paste this information as well if you get emails from people. I love the copy paste facility because I think it's super fast because most people send things on email, and also people will do that. Oh, look, it found my touring bike. It found my bell. I love it. You did it. Thank you, Mr. Computer. Thank you, AI. And I'll insert that into my document. And of course, if you give it a second, it shows up. Now, New Concept ships out of my yellow warehouse. That's why it fulfilled the yellow warehouse. So I wanted to show you some of the cool functionality that's in the system, coming out of the system here. Now, one other thing I want to show you as it relates to manufacturing, because we're here talking about manufacturing, is inventory. So if I need to look up inventory, certainly one thing about the system, it doesn't let you run your inventory negative. I don't see why anybody would want to, but it does not allow it. So it will force you to receive purchase orders that need to go into inventory. It will force you to actually make sure that the inventory is on hand before you manufacture. The system is that intelligent. I talk about the fact that if I look at an item and I need to react to an item, if I open up my item list real quickly here, it'll come in. And if I need to buy tires, and let's say my supply chain is disrupted because my tire manufacturer, my tire vendor, really, not manufacturer, my tire vendor, I don't know, went out of business. So obviously, if I buy this from this vendor, and my vendor here is called Custom Metals, they do rubber and they do metals, and they just somehow went out of business. I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Well, one of the nice things is if you find out your vendors, this is my default vendor is no good anymore, you can actually keep track of all of your items by different vendors. You can set up what is called a vendor catalog. In addition, you can come in here and say, today, I mean, that's, actually Oakville is actually now getting into the tire business, and their item number is ABC123, and they take about 2 weeks to bring stuff in. So I can actually add a vendor, start buying from this vendor, set up the vendor price catalog so I know how much they're going to charge me with quantity breaks, and change them either on the master item card here, or potentially pull them into the list on the planning worksheet and change the vendor on the fly, because it is listed on the sheet that you can change your vendor if you get a better price. Now, one of the also nice things about this is, now you'll notice this is a tire. And it's nice. It's a nice kind of descriptor, it's kind of fun. But let's say I have a finished good product like the touring bike, which you saw. This is my finished good item. And let's say my finished good items go to websites. My finished good items are supposed to be listed in many different places. And the word touring bike is pretty boring. I can edit, I can come in here and create a draft of a text. And I do this because I am not a marketing person. I'm an accountant. I'm an accountant and I'm an operation person. So I can come in here and I can first build in some attributes for colors, for item categories, and pick different things to do and add attributes to this so that my marketing description could be better and with it and come back with the information. I'm not going to do that because it's yelling at me. I'm cross producting. I can't put an office desk with a touring bicycle, obviously. But again, I can also come in here and edit. I can actually write marketing text here. I can suggest a marketing text, say suggest, and do that as well if I type enough information in the system. So it can build me my marketing text that will go on my website if I wanted to. You don't have to. You can write your own marketing text as well. Um, has built-in selling on Shopify. It's turnkey. There's really nothing to do. Obviously, I can create stock keeping units. Again, the multiple warehouses you saw me have my main one, my blue one, my yellow, my white, all the different green and et cetera, et cetera. So it keeps track of inventory by stock keeping unit. It's pretty simple to look up because obviously if I come to the system, I can just go in and say, please show me my stock keeping units. And if it had any quantities on hand, it would be in here. I'm going to go back to my Chip and Dale, step off my Chip and Dale, and just show you a couple of other things that I love to show people. One is the fact that, we've got production bombs in here, and everybody says, hey, can you show me one of your production bombs? And I always like to do that. Again, you can have as many production bombs as you want. Let's show you a good one here. I'm going to do some veggie chips. So instead of doing bicycles, obviously I keep track of my potatoes, which are in eaches, my vegetable oil, which is in liters. My chip bags are in eaches. My cartons are in eaches. And yes, you can go to a decimal place. It is allowed. Don't forget, I'm manufacturing a veggie chip bag, a single bag, a unit of one bag, not a case of 24, not a pallet of 500. I'm manufacturing a single bag. And I've got lemon zest of obviously in pounds. Now, again, everything you can have certainly bill of materials for actually the making of the chip. You can have a bill of material for the making of the packaging as well if you'd like to do it that way as well. In addition to this, we have routings. I always like to show some of the routings to people. Some people say, what does the routing look like? And they ask me various questions when it comes to it. So here's my routing. I'll open up the chip routing because we were just talking about that 2 seconds ago. I've got my production department and I've got a packaging department. You can see it's got setup time and run time and wait time. The wait time is because the bags have to cool down after it's put in the bag before it goes to the box. In addition, I can produce scrap. And I did set a scrap layer on the packaging department because my packaging department lately has been really sloppy and they've been dropping bags on the floor and stepping on them and breaking the bags. So I always cover myself with a 10% scrap factor. Now, what does a scrap factor do? Not only does it ask me to produce more material, because I'll take that scrap factor into, so if I ask to make 1,000 bags and it says, ooh, I got a 10% scrap factor, obviously it's going to make 1,100 bags because 100 of them are going to be stepped on. So the system is that intelligent enough to know if people want to account for the scrap ahead of time, I'll give you more raw material to make sure that you're covering the finished quantity you have to make plus the scrap you're about to produce. I'm going to step back here. I'm going to go back here. We're back on to my main menu screen here. Again, I can do quality. I can come in here and do my quality inspection tests at any time, whether I do them at the time of receipt raw material, at the time of production inside of the production process, or maybe at the end of the production process. Maybe it's after production, somebody looks at the items before they go on the shelf. And you can set up as many quality inspection tests as you would like. Again, the system can create the test. It can retest something if it fails. And of course, it can finish it and create the C of A if necessary, if that's something you want to do, a certificate of analysis or a non-conformance report or an inspection report. It is your choice. You have 3 available ways of looking at quality. A lot of people take choices depending on what they're bringing in the door. And of course, if you're FDA regulated or you're regulated for other industries, you can certainly make sure that these compliance quality tests are done at every stage of the Business Central process. One thing to note here, obviously, I'm not going to go into the warehouse, but obviously I can do all my warehouse entries with handhelds and stuff like that, so it is available to me. I do have other menus here, and my handheld devices here and here, so I can do a handheld. I do have my graphic scheduler, which I can open up here if I really want to. In addition, you have your accounting, everything from general journal entries to bank to fixed assets, to financial reporting, balance sheet, and income statement. You can accept as many currencies as you feel are necessary or are allowed in your organization. As you can tell, I pretty much fill my demo database, as well as a lot of customers actually are selling in many different currencies lately. But actually, the system will record the currency on a day-to-day basis. This is the rate that happened to be on 7.7 the last time I was playing around with the system. If I want to update this system, I can certainly click here and just say update, and we'll go out and try to update. And it says there's no update to set because I haven't turned on my job queue, so I can't do that. And I don't leave my job queue running only because it runs in the background and takes up space in my server. The other thing to note here is the realized and unrealized gain or loss for those accountants on the call today. It will record the unrealized gain or loss at time of transaction, and it will record the realized gain or loss whether you're receiving a payment from your customer or you're actually dispersing funds to your vendor that's in a foreign currency. You can record things in a foreign currency, but it will both post it in the general ledger as obviously US dollars because you're an American corporation. For those of you here who are US based, it will record it as Canadian dollars if you're a Canadian based organization, or whatever you are in terms of your organization. Last but not least, before I hand it back to Mitesh, I want to go through looking at the chart of accounts because I think it's a fun thing to stare at. We build a chart of accounts pretty easily for most people to read in a pretty simple way. As you can see, it starts off with their assets. You can see I can drill into any one of these accounts. I can look into the banking account here and see, oh, look, here are my transactions. I can filter by day, by month, by year. You can filter by vendor and information like that. I can also scroll down, come to my receivables and see all my different domestic and foreign receivables that are out there. Any prepayments I've made to vendors that are deposits, I keep track of those. I can keep track of all my inventory. You saw me have resale inventory. I've got finished goods. I've got raw materials down here. Obviously, I have things in transit where obviously this is something that was in transit. Sorry, it's telling me I forgot to invoice the customer. If I see money in my balance sheet that is sitting in the word interim, it's warning me to go and I forgot to invoice my customer. It is a great backup source. There's a lot of built-in backups and checks and balances in Business Central to help people from different departments make sure that things are happening in other departments. And last but not least, I'm going to just scroll down all the way to the bottom because obviously we always have fun looking at sales. And here are my sales and revenue accounts and my cost of goods sold accounts and so on and so forth. And if you go to the very bottom, you'll finally get, of course, to net income, which is right here. It looks like I'm doing pretty good for the year before taxes. So my little Chip and Dale snack company is doing pretty well. That's pretty much a lot of things I'm going to show you only because I want to stick, like I said, I wanted to concentrate more on the notion of getting us through a typical day in the life of a manufacturer who sells something, who manufactures the item, who plans the item on the floor, both from a purchasing side and a production side, who manufactures the item and closes it out and ships that item out the door to meet the customer's demand. You have the ability, as you note in summary, to look at, you can do things in the warehouse using a handheld or a tablet. Again, I stayed away from the supply side or the warehouse side, but you can do all of that functionality, through those devices. You can quality inspect at whether it be at the receiving stage, the manufacturing stage, or even the shipping stage if you like. You can use a graphical scheduler if you'd like to certainly look at your floor in a graphical way, as well as you can add the shop floor tool that sits on top of it to do the actual production side using shop floor. Shop floor takes care of both the operator's entry of time, the operator's entry of output, and the operator's entry of consumption should all be done at the operator floor level, both at a PC screen or a tablet is your choice. Yes, we went into sales to show you how we do sales orders and customers, and you can do a lot of other things. You can do quotes and you can do contacts, and you can certainly do a lot of the CRMs based activities, as well as the fact that you have purchasing. I know we didn't step into here, but you can certainly make purchase quotes and purchase orders. Some organizations who do blankets for those large items, they want a blanket order. You can set up a blanket order as well. It is fun to see how that works because when you buy stuff, for instance, steel is bought in blankets. Obviously, polymer is also bought in blankets. A lot of things that are bought in bulk because it might be a commodity. It might be something where the price is fluctuating, like paint. You might want to buy it at a certain price and lock it in for like 6 months to a year's worth of inventory. And you could set that up on a blanket and you can bring them in phases, like deliver so much this time, or I'll contact you how much deliver in this month, and this month. And your blankets can be set up that way as well to make your life easier. I'm going to pause here. I always like to always ask people if they do have any questions. If not, I understand you can always hold them to the end because we're getting close to, I guess, 10 after. And I want to make sure we finish up on our slides and information. I will pass it back to Mitesh if there's no questions, and I'll let him pick up on the slides. Mitesh?
Thank you, Stephen, for the wonderful presentation. And it looks like you did a magic. We don't have more questions here from the audience. So, but
Fantastic.
if there is anything comes up, I will put that along with our presentation here. So let me share my slide and get back to where we were. So we saw the presentation of Business Central, and I would like to go back and let me share my screen. Okay. And these are the few customers we have. They are using Dynamics Business Central. We have Sullivan Supply here, a leader in livestock and supply chain management companies, and they manages their inventory and warehouse management using Dynamics 365 Business Central, and this allowed them to meet the growing demand and improve their order fulfillment. And another, we have Thompson Pumps Manufacturing. They have improved their manufacturing and supply chain processes by adopting Dynamics 365 Business Central. They are in the middle of implementation, but they have already made their mind to implement Dynamics Business Central. And last but not least, we have a Spray Market. And by using Business Central, Spray Market improved their e-commerce and inventory management, and this change allowed them to see the stock levels in real time and distribute products to the customer more efficiently. And we're going to go to the next slide here, and that is Dynamics 365 Business Central capabilities. As you can see here, there is a full list of Business Central capabilities which comes with essential license and the premium license. So here, if you can see, we have a finance and accounting, sales and marketing that comes with it, inventory management, service management, and there is a sales and delivery, supply chain, and warehouse management, purchasing and payables, and project management. So this all modules comes with your essential license, and the manufacturing that comes in premium license category. I'm going to go to the next slide here, and this is the license pricing. So Microsoft does provide a free licensing where you can go and try Business Central, and if you are already using Microsoft 365, and from there you would be able to add in your Office 365 subscription, and the license price is straightforward, $70 per user per month. That's for essential license, and $100 per user per month. That's for the premium license, and $8 per user per month. That's for the team member license. So the team member license would be useful where you have a user, they are just managing report or doing some minimal activities for them team member would be a good idea to give them, so you can save a little bit more on a user pricing. And the next slide I have here, if you already have Microsoft 365, and you will get the 10% discount if you get the Business Central. So here you can see there is a complete package that you would get from Microsoft. So Business Central, and it comes with the Microsoft Copilot, and it also communicates with the teams. So anything which you see in the Business Central that you can share with your team, and that will be across the board that you can get that. And it also communicates with the Outlook, so you can use your Outlook functionality in Business Central. So there is a connector in Outlook which connects with Business Central, so you would be able to connect your sales quote, sales invoice. Whenever customer asks something, you would be able to do it in Outlook without even going to the Business Central. So that is one of the cool functionality that I have been using myself in being in a sales, where customer ask, send me a quote for the license, or send me invoice that we need to pay. So that one of the functionality I love the most. And also you can connect Excel, where you can upload and import the data and do changes right there. And the next slide I have here, so Microsoft running a promotion. It's called a Bridge to Cloud, where they offer 40% discount on standard licenses. So benefit of this promotion, if you already have legacy Microsoft system, which is Dynamics SL, Dynamics GP, or uh, Dynamics CE. So and those are like a on-prem licenses, you might have it. So that should be currently under enhancement plan, or even if you have lapse 30 days, so Microsoft would give you still 40% discount on those licenses. And the good part about this, you would get the two type of licenses. One, you can have on-prem license, which is, so say for example you haven't decided yet to implement Business Central on the cloud, but by the time you would have excuse me, you would have your on-prem data and on-prem environment. So till the time you would figure out like when you would need to implement those licenses to on, I mean to the cloud, you would get that license where you can get the advantage of on-prem as well as the cloud. So I would ask Steven if you have any more inputs on that, like how it can be feasible where company already have on-prem license and they would like to go in a cloud environment maybe later down the road, maybe a year or year after.
I would think the most important thing about Bridge to Cloud, and the offer, um, Microsoft obviously has this period and it's limited. They could change, they could change the offer. I think they're going to let this go through for a couple of more years.
Right,
But to answer your question, most importantly is if you're sitting on an old release, whether it be Nav, the NAV systems, or you're really stuck on some even the earlier versions, not that there's many left of the Vision, but if you're on GP or Nav or even AX, I would say this fall is the time to sit down and talk to us about it and really hone in on the fact that you want to really look at the product, get a nice, maybe more of a detailed or maybe customized demo to really understand based on your business and your use of the product, whether it be in manufacturing or other various industries. But definitely before this promotion leaves, if you're sitting on this and you're obviously, if you're on the on-prem version like the Dynamics NAV or AX or GP, you're up to date on your enhancement plan, you're active, or again close to lapsing, kind of like you just mentioned. I recommend highly that you just take some time to meet with us to get a nice demo to understand what it's going to take to go from these old software ERP systems to BC. In most cases, it is super, super easy. because of the fact that the data comes out of each one of the packages, the GP, NAV, AX, relatively simply into Excel, and we basically transfer the data into BC. You can be up and running in such a short period of time. It is not like going to the dentist and getting root canal anymore. It is a super easy way just to move from old system to new system, and you can be pretty much up and running in a short period of time. Um, I I constantly get phone calls from people all the time saying, "How hard is it? Is it easy? Am I going to be, is it going to cost me an arm and a leg?" It is not that way anymore. It's not like the past. It is super easy the way you can just fill out spreadsheets and basically the data goes over. Now you're up to training. From training, you're live and you move on. So it's definitely not like the 10, 15, 25, 30 years ago the way it was. It is much more simpler now.
Yeah, and last week we got a customer. They have been using Dynamics now almost over 15 years, and they have not been paying enhancement. So now they would not get this offer. But if customer already using this platform and active on enhancement, and as we move forward with the newer technology, they can still get benefited from the all investment they have made it, and through that they're going to get to the new cloud version, and they get the 40% discount. And we see a lot of a boom right now going on with the AI and digital transformation, where they're going to get most of their investment what they have already done, and now with the fewer um, licensing they can able to start. So it doesn't need to be like, um, they have to buy everything from now. They can just use it by user. I mean, if they needed only 5 user, they can start with those many subscription, and then they can scale down to, or maybe they can scale up to however they want it.
Yeah, I mean, for those people that are sitting on older versions, it's hard to, I mean, obviously it is hard to say to them, "Hey, um, user, you're sitting on a release." For the most part, if you're on a Microsoft-based product, Microsoft-based products are decommissioned. Every year, something is always decommissioned. In the nav space, you know, anything prior to 2018 is officially decommissioned. I think 2018 might be this year or 2019. I can't remember which one is coming up at the end of this year. But the idea being is all of these products that when they're decommissioned, they're outside of the support range. They're not supported at all. And certainly if you haven't even done your enhancement plan, most importantly is you're going to basically go, you obviously couldn't take the offer up, but what you could do is it's a simple subscription, and the prices are downright cheap. You saw on the other slide, they're super cheap. So the fact that, yes, I know you haven't paid your enhancement plan for a long time, but I think you've gotten your money's worth. I always tell people, if you've been on something for 15, 20 years, you've certainly made your money's worth of the product. You've gotten your ROI back. Um, just subscribe to the new product and just buy enough licenses, because they're different tiers of licenses. Buy the right license and your subscription price would still be cheaper than probably the enhancement plan you were paying in the past anyway, because the Microsoft really keeps the price down. It's probably one of the cheaper ERP systems that are out there today.
And if you compare with, other ERP out there in the market, this is like much more reasonable, and it is connected with other Microsoft products. So they provide the whole ecosystem to the companies. I mean, the tool which they have already familiar, and another part, like it comes with the infrastructure. So the companies, they are not really investing heavily on infrastructure, like where I'm going to host this ERP system. So everything comes with those $70 per user per month, and this is one of the biggest advantage that Microsoft is giving to the small and medium sized businesses.
Yeah, I mean, I think Microsoft is catering beautifully to the SMB space. Ironically enough, Business Central, yes, it's known for it's known to be an SMB product, but it isn't implemented in many large companies. I mean, super large. We're talking, you know, multi-million, hundreds of millions. There's even a few billion-dollar corporations that actually use it. It is it is very easily implemented in various industries. And when people think they're so large, oh, I can't go to that Business Central product, that SMB product, you'd be pleasantly surprised. It is possible, whether you're in steel, sheet metal, coils, pharma, medical medical equipment, tractor trailers. You're in food and drug, beverage. Whatever industry, wallboards, pumps. Whatever you're into, you'll be pleasantly surprised. It really does work within the many industries that a typical organization might be in. It with the notion that we're talking manufacturing, since that's what we've been showing all day long.
Perfect. Yeah. And I'm going to go to the next slide and see if we have any questions from anyone. And it does look we don't have any. And let me go to the next slide. And thanks for joining us today. And if you have any further questions or would like to discuss your specific requirements in more detail, please do not hesitate to contact us. You can reach out to us by the number which is displayed here on the slide, or you can send us an email. And you can also follow us on a social media where we have tons of Business Central videos available. And again, thank you so much, Stephen, for giving us a wonderful presentation. And if there is any question arise from our audience, I'll be contacting you. And have a great day.
You too. Have a good one, everybody.